The shark arm murder, one of Australia's most notorious criminal cases, captivated the public imagination in the early 1930s. It involved the discovery of a human arm inside a captured tiger shark at the Coogee Aquarium in Sydney, leading to a complex investigation and a web of intrigue that would unfold over the following years. The story begins in April 1935, when a tiger shark was caught off the coast of Sydney by a fisherman. Rather than dumping his catch, the fisherman decided to take the larger shark to the nearby Coogee Aquarium baths, where it would make a wonderful attraction for the following Anzac Day weekend. In those days, sharks were considered a public enemy, as they had killed 3 young men since February. Visitors were drawn to the aquarium to witness the display of the massive shark, but little did they know that they would stumble upon evidence of a gruesome crime. On April 25, 1935, a group of spectators gathered around the shark tank to watch the feeding of the captive tiger shark. As the shark thrashed about in the water, something peculiar caught the eye of an onlooker, a human arm protruding from the shark's mouth. The gruesome discovery sent shockwaves through the community and launched an investigation into the origins of the severed arm. Forensic analysis confirmed that the arm belonged to a human male, but the identity of the victim remained a mystery. There was a surprising twist. The arm was so well preserved that there was a still recognizable tattoo of 2 boxers shaping up to fight on the forearm. News of this discovery was published in all the major newspapers. One day, police received a phone call from a person calling himself Edwin Smith. Suggested that this arm could be of his missing brother James Smith, aka Jim Smith. With the help of fingerprints and DNA samples from the arm, the investigation soon established that the arm was indeed that of Jim Smith. An ex-boxer and a small-time criminal with a penchant for gambling and shady dealings, Jim was known to frequent the Sydney underworld and had connections to organized crime figures. As investigators delved deeper into Jim's background, they discovered that he had been involved in a dispute over a lucrative illegal gambling operation known as 2-Up, a popular Australian betting game. Jim had reportedly clashed with other members of the criminal underworld over control of the gambling racket. The plot thickened when detectives uncovered evidence linking Jim to a man named Patrick Brady, a former associate who had mysteriously disappeared around the same time as the shark arm discovery. Brady, it turned out, had been involved in the same gambling syndicate as Jim. Police received a tip from an anonymous caller who told police that he had seen Jim with Brady at the Cecil Hotel in Cronulla on Sunday night, April 7. Brady was arrested by the police and interrogated for hours, but he maintained his innocence and stated that Jim went home from the hotel that night. Further investigation led the police to a taxi driver who recognized Brady and Jim. He told the police the address in North Sydney where he had dropped them after picking them up from the Cecil Hotel. This house belonged to Reginald Lloyd Holmes. He was a seemingly respectable entrepreneur who had a somewhat successful boat-building business on the harbour of Lavender Bay. The case took another surprising turn when police discovered Holmes was also known to be involved in other illegal activities. Mr. Holmes controlled a lucrative smuggling ring, which involved using speedboats built at his boat shed to smuggle cocaine, cigarettes, and other contraband in the Sydney area. Jim and Brady were at some point employees of Holmes and often drove one of the speedboats during the smuggling operations. But they had fallen out over a failed insurance scam, and it was speculated that Jim had begun to blackmail Holmes. Holmes was brought to the police station, but he denied ever knowing the accused, Brady, and said Jim was no longer working for him. Without a body or concrete forensic evidence linking him to the crime, authorities struggled to build a compelling case against the suspect. Eventually, police had to release Brady and Holmes. The evidence was only circumstantial, which would have proved it enough to prosecute them. After being released by the police on May 20, Holmes left his boat shed in a very fast speedboat into the Lavender Bay harbour. After getting away from the shore, Holmes got intoxicated by drinking a large amount of whiskey and attempted to shoot himself with his pistol. The bullet didn't kill him. The bullet got wedged in his forehead, and he got knocked off the boat. Holmes started to drown but managed to get onto the boat again. After being severely injured by the bullet, Holmes was extremely drunk and started speeding around the harbour, leading the harbour police on a 4-hour chase. Eventually, Holmes was taken to the hospital and arrested once he recovered from the wounds. Upon a rigorous interrogation, Holmes finally broke. He confessed that both Jim and Brady used to work for him, and Jim used to play a major part in his smuggling and insurance-related frauds. But after a while, Jim became greedy, started to blackmail Holmes, and started extorting large sums of money from him. All these events led Holmes to hire Brady to murder Jim. But Brady had different plans. He killed and discarded his body by dismembering it and throwing it in the ocean. Holmes also agreed to become a legal witness against Brady, and Holmes was released by police. Brady was arrested on murder charges against Jim Smith on the basis of the statement of Mr. Holmes. On the other hand, the freedom of Mr. Holmes was short-lived, as days after his release, he was found dead in his car. So, just when the police thought they had closed the case, it took another unexpected turn. After an extensive investigation, the police were unable to find the killer of Mr. Holmes. In the absence of conclusive evidence, the case eventually went cold, leaving many unanswered questions and lingering doubts about the true nature of the crime. Brady was eventually acquitted in the murder case. The Shark Arm murder would go down in history as one of Australia's most baffling and enigmatic criminal cases, a haunting reminder of the mysteries that lurk beneath the surface of the human psyche.